Where were you born and reared?
I was born in Killenagh, near the Goose Green. I was down in Ratwell's Gatehouse, and my father had about 30 acres down here in Colluke. And there was 6 of us, 4 brothers and 2 sisters. And my second eldest brother died at 24. And my sister died in London a few years back from cancer. And I've got a sister still living in Bray in Wicklow, and she's over 90.
Boy.
And I went to school in Ballygarrett and walked to school every day and back. Them days.
How far would it be to Ballygarrett from here?
Well, from Killenagh, it was approximately 2 miles, I think, each way. But it was a long way in the winter time. And it was raining heavily and blowing a gale. But how, never. My eldest brother went to Christian Brothers, and he started work in Enniscorthy as a bookkeeper. He got his leaving cert when he was 17 or 18. And he went to work for Donoghue's of Enniscorthy, bookkeeping. And I believe he lodged in Enniscorthy. He had lodgings. And the tailor Doyle from Ballygarrett area was where he was lodging. And he only earned 27 and sixpence a week, and his rent was 30 shillings. And my father had to try to get the odd 30 shillings up to him so he could have lodging.
Go away over that. Come here, I'm going to pull you back. What was your brothers and sisters' names?
Well, my eldest brother was Pat, and the second eldest was Dan, that died at 24 from a diseased valve. Mick, my brother Mick, died in London of cancer. And my youngest sister, the youngest of the family, she died in London about 10 or 12 years ago from cancer.
What was her name?
Yeah. May.
May.
And Nellie was in Bray.
Nellie Kane and May
Yeah.
Kane.
Yeah.
And what was your mother and father's name?
Patrick and my father was a Kane, and my mother was a Granel. She lived with, she lost her mother at a very young age. There was 5 of them, and they lost her mother she died in childbirth. And they were brought, their father died about 6 years later, and they were going to be put in an orphanage. But my mother's uncle, old Mosey Carney, he brought him down to Carnew, or to Garrynew, and he reared him in that old house that Mary showed you before, or mentioned here on the Moor Road. And they were all split up. The 3 girls was at Carney's, and the 2 brothers, one went to an uncle in Enniscorthy, and I don't know where the other fella went, but they lost touch, the brothers. But the women my mother was a twin, and her twin sister lived in Cranford. She was a hempen stall. She was married to a hempen stall. And my Aunt Bridge was Bessie MacDonald's mother in Ballygarrett. And they were all, they were nearly all farming community them days, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that was your poor old mother and your father. And were the Kanes from this part of Wexford?
Yes, my father was from the Moor, they call it, down the Moor Road. That was the address, the Moor. And it was down there near, the Neddy Whelan's cottages. They lived down a few yards down the road from there. And I think they had 45 acres. Well, my uncle, my father then, obviously, when my uncle got married, my father had got married as well, so he had to look for a house, and the house belonged to Ratwell, to Ballygarrett, and it was a gatehouse. There was a fine house down that lane, Tom Duff, known as Tom Duff House, and there was quite a good farm with that, although it was wetland like most of the land around this area, the Macklemores.
And you'd be related then to Sean and Shamie Kane.
I'd be a second cousin of Sean and Shamie and Maura and Rita, I think. I don't know the other. There was another couple of girls, I think, after that, but they were younger, so I didn't see much of them because I left Ireland for England in 1961 after my father got drowned. My father was drowned in Courtown. He went down on a winter's evening on an old bike, and he was going down to see an old friend of his. And it was nothing unusual for him not to come back early. He'd be very late coming back. And my sister was living at home at the time, my younger sister, and just the two of us. And the next morning we got up, and had no worries about him, thinking he'd stayed over or something. And I looked in the bedroom, and I said my sister had left him some sandwiches out on the table. And I looked into the bedroom, and there was no sign of anyone in the bedroom. So I immediately called my sister and said, "Daddy hasn't come home." So I said, I knew the man he was going to see, and I said, "Go down there and see, has he had a turn or something?" So she went down there. No, he hadn't even seen him. So he never made down to him. So immediately Mrs. Porter, old Mrs. Porter was alive that time, and she got the news spread, and she organised a search party, and people come from everywhere and searched all around Courtown and up the River Chapel and and about the next day, about 12 o'clock, they found the bike, and the lamp was still on, and it was down by the side of what we call the basin, and the people, the seafaring men, knew that he'd probably come in further down. His body would probably float back in around about Ballymoney. And the next day, which was the 4th of February, there was a man walking his dog along the beach, and he spotted this man's head sticking up out of sand and the grey hair, and he immediately knew because he'd heard it on the news. So he immediately informed the guards, so they come, and we were picked up and taken down there, and the body was recovered. But to this day we don't know what took him down there, whether he took a wrong down. You know, then days there was no street lighting or any, and if you had an old lamp, and it wouldn't show you much light anyway. But it was very, very sad. It was a very sad case, and we were devastated because I was only 22, and my sister was only 17 or 18, you know, and it was a big blow. But then when he'd gone, my sister got a job in Dublin, and I decided, my brother Mick was in London, so he said to me, "It's up to you, but I'd advise you to sell it up and come over to England and just maybe stay a few years." So with the result, I stayed 60 odd years. So there there it goes.
You never lost your accent.
Oh no. I don't see anyone should lose their accent, because I know people come over to England and a couple of weeks and they went back with an English accent.
And can I ask you, poor old mother died before your father?
Yeah, my mother died. She died young. She was only 57, and my father was only 65. But my mother was just very young. She got cancer as well. Never smoked or drank in her life, and she got cancer of the stomach. Yeah, and she died in 59. She died in a very hot summer, 59, and she died on the 12th of July. Yeah.
And you went over to England then after?
And I went to England and joined my brother, and there was another chap come with me from down the road here. Tom O'Brien was his name, and we went off to England together. We met. We come home. We went together, and my brother met us at Euston Station, and he got an old room mapped out for us, the two of us. So we went to London anyway, and we got this room, but we had no job. So we marched up and down the streets looking for work, and it wasn't easy in the early 60s. And we had this little flat, the 2 single beds, and a little old gas cooker, no water, no toilet. We had to go down a level for water, and the same for if we want to go to the toilet. But anyway, we rambled around for a couple of weeks, and we were on the point of coming back. And because I had a bit of money after selling the things up, so I said, well, we'll stick it out another while. So we stuck it out another while, and we'd given up one day, and we were coming up the road in Stroud Green Road in London, and we were coming up under the railway bridge, and there was a railway yard up above, and there was this big notice outside, plate layers wanted. Now, Tom and I looked at each other and said, well, what's plate layers? We hadn't a clue, never heard the word. So anyway, Tom said, will we go up? I said, no, we make a fool of ourselves. We don't know what they're looking for. We're not skilled. So anyway, Tom said, well, I'll go up. And I said, fair enough, I'll wait here. And Tom come back with 2 big forms to fill in. And we sat down, we took them home to the old flat anyway. And we sat down and we filled them out. They were quite simple. Well, in the end, it was quite simple. But anyway, we took them back the next Monday morning, I think it was, and there was a timekeeper's office, and he said, he looked at him and he said, right, he said, can you be up here at 7:30 in the morning? And we said, yeah, if you want us. He said, yeah, come at 7:30 and I'll sort something out. So anyway, we went up the next morning, and he had the job sorted out for us, and we had to go down near Pentonville jail on the railway. The railway ran right beside there. Anyway, we started work on pick and shovel on the railway, and it was hard old graft, because you had to shovel out the stone from between the sleepers, and it was hard work. But anyway, we carried on. We come home for the 1961 All-Ireland final, and myself and Mick as well, my brother Mick as well, and Tom, we went to the All-Ireland. And on the way back, my youngest sister said, I'll come back with you, because she didn't have much of a job in Dublin, only serving. So she come back with us, and her mate, and they stayed in London then. They stayed in London all their life, the 2 of them.
2 years.
And one of them, her friend is still alive. But we only stayed on that department of the railway for a short while. There was internal job vacancies come up, and just for railway men, you could do something else.
Yeah.
There were telecoms, that type of source,
Yeah.
and all that. So the one come up, a vacancy come up, and myself and this little Dublin lad, he had started on the railway, and he what was it? I've lost my train of thought.
Come here.
Oh yeah, we stayed on there for about 9 months, and this other job come up, and machinery to do with machines, and I said, well, we'll try our hand at that.
Yeah.
So we stuck in this form, and God, within a couple of weeks, we got the ganger says, you two are wanted up at the platelayers lobby. There's a man wants to interview you for the machine job. So we said, right. So we went up and we met this old Cockney bloke, and he asked us a few questions. Now he said there's only one trouble with young Irishmen. He said they get drunk and don't turn up at weekends, because it's weekend work, you see. So I said, well, we're not drinkers at all. We don't drink. So he said, oh, I'm glad to hear it. Well, to cut a long story short, we went on machines and we were on them for 18 years, me and this little Dublin man. And I ended up grade D supervisor eventually, looking after him.
Good man.
So I done well, really, for a bloke who had no education.
Can I pull you back? What year were you born again?
What year was I born in?
Yeah.
1931 or 1937.
37.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember the war years here?
I remember the war finishing. And how I remember that is strange things stick in your mind. Old Mrs. O'Brien in the pub, when she was a very old lady, well, me and Mick were drawing farmyard manure from Killenagh, where we had some more sheds, down to Killenagh. And the old dung cart, and it was 12 o'clock, about 12 o'clock midday, and we were passing, and the workman from O'Brien's was working in a field making hay or something, and old Mrs. O'Brien come out to us and she said, would you take that bit of dinner down? She had it all covered up to Bill. And we said, of course. And she said, by the way, the war is over. And that was the first. And now, of course, Mick was because he was about 6 years older than me. I was only about 8 or 9 at the time. When did it finish? In 1945, didn't it? Yeah. So I was 37. Yeah, I was about 10 years old. But I remember it well. The relief by people, because they couldn't get half the things they wanted them days. You were lucky if you got a bit of sugar, a bit of butter, and a bit of tea. And you produce your own few things, like eggs and things, My father used to sow cabbage plants, onions, and turnip and swede, and on down on it wasn't very good land, but it grew per day as well.
Yeah.
Kerrs Pinks in particular, they always done well in the Macklemores. Yeah.
And do you remember the plane crashing up here in Errors?
Oh, indeed I do. I can tell you a story about that. I was at the pump in Killenagh, and myself and Mick was getting sent over to get water, and of course Mick could carry the water. I wasn't big enough to be carried, and there was 2 old boys lived on the goose screen, or just on the edge of the goose screen, Dean Carty and Paddy Carty, and there were 2 great old characters. Dean was a thatcher, And Paddy, I don't know what he done, but they were only farm labourers anyway in their day. But we went to the pump for water, and we were just getting the bucket, and Paddy Carty come walking. He used to walk around the block. You know, you could go up by Porter's and down and around by the Bryans, you know, around the road. And the old Paddy said, "There's a plane after crashing." "What?" And Mick said, "What?" And Mick flung the bucket in the... "Where?" "Over in Earl's Field." Yeah. And we shot over to Earl's Field. And right enough, the plane had crashed, and it had ploughed its way down along the field, and it had took the tops off of the trees as it come into land, and it landed there. And within no time there was guards about. I don't know how they got the news so well, but there was guards about anyway. But the two pilots got out of it, and eventually they were taken away, but the troops, Irish soldiers, come to try to get the plane pulled out because it rested on the top of a ditch. The landing gear was sitting on the top of the ditch, and they had the likes of it you never seen. There was muck up to the chest, and there was a team of soldiers, I don't know how many, must have been up to 20, 30, trying to heave this thing off of the ditch. And they eventually got it, and they pulled it out, and they had like an old sort of a low loader that time, and they got it bit by bit, but it was in bits, and there was bits left, and people told they could take them if they wanted them. It was like part of the fuselage. And oh God, it was a big to-do. There was days and weeks before they got it all out because of the way it was sunk in the mud. And they reckon them trees never grew after. So whether that's true or not, I don't know.
So you went down when it just after a crashing?
We were there within about 10 minutes, because it wasn't far from Killenagh, only over John Earl's Field, you know, so it wasn't far away. But it's recorded on you can get it up on your telephone or on your mobile, I mean.
And did you see the two young American pilots?
Yes, they wasn't a scratch on them. They never. My father was drawing gravel that day, because we used to draw gravel from the beach in them days, and for farmers buy them and builders use them for houses, salt water and all. But my father he seen it more than anyone, because he's seen it come in and coming so low, but he seen them hit the trees, and he was just about, well, he wasn't far from it, probably 100 yards away, and it come down. But they were taken to the Curragh, and they were interrogated. They were eventually, I think, let go back to their unit, wherever it was.
Did you take any pieces off it?
Did
you take any pieces off the plane?
There was a bit, because I don't know I was in an old shed at home for a long while. I've seen something about one not so long ago. Someone had a piece, because they were saying you could take what you liked. They were only too glad they didn't have to load it up. But I can't remember what they were now. It was like a sort of aluminium type stuff. But of what purpose it served, I don't know. But it was a great excitement in the area over it.
And talking a little about excitement in the area, do you remember the dances years ago up in Killenagh?
Sorry?
Do you remember the dances years ago in Killenagh, the gatherings?
No. The goose green, I think the goose green was common ground. And there was nothing, everyone could graze on it or anything, but there was a bull ring called the bull ring. They called it up there where Lawless's house was, and always went by the bull ring. So there must have been some and there was a sports field ported right opposite the pub. That field was known as the sports field. And there was they had them days they had this weightlifting, and John Mangan at Kilmuckridge, he was a champion, I believe, but he was a huge big man for his time, and there must have been a market or something how for it to be called the Goose Green, and I suppose them days the people herded geese and everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, so it must have had some connection. But the sports field, that was, I often heard him talking about that. Dick Root, a local man, had a big rope in an old shed over there, and we used to look in through the thing, and there was a tug of war rope, and that was used in the. But it always goes by the sports field. But it's Porter's Field, and I always went by the sports field. So didn't they have the throwing of a sheaf of corn up or over a bar or something? I don't know. There was different types of amusement, I suppose.
Did you see that done?
I didn't know. No, it was before my time.
And John Mannion then was a famous weight thrower, but he was also a tug of war man as well.
Oh, I would think so.
He
Yeah,
was on a team.
I would think.
I
think there's a headstone in Kilmuckridge Grave Cemetery.
There's one in Killenagh, yeah.
I knew there was one somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a big man.
Oh yeah, and I don't know where his son is now, but he might be dead for all I know. It's John Mangan too. He was a big tall fella.
Did he have a son?
Yeah, I think it was his son or his grandson, I don't know which, but he was a big man. He played with Ballygarrett a couple of times, and there was another, I think there was a sister.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember the Maybush dance up with Kurt Hubin?
Yes, I do remember the Maybush, yeah. It was a great turnout, Maybush. People all dancing to lay down boards and made a temporary stage from the girls doing step dancing, you know. And that must have run into, that was live in the early 50s. It was live anyway. I don't know what happened when I went to England. It may have died out, but it was live that time, you know. And somewhere near Philip's Cottage it was, up there somewhere, and I can't remember now. My memory's not what it used to be.
And did you ever go to one?
Yes, oh yeah. As chaps we went up there. You know, I can't remember. It was held on a particular date, wasn't it?
On May Eve, on it.
Yeah.
May night, maybe.
Yeah.
Was there a bonfire at it?
I don't remember a bonfire, but I remember some form of bunting up around on the pole or something. And the girl, as I say, I remember the girls dancing and music, like, you know. People, they had an old melodeon, didn't they?
What were the name of the musicians locally, can you remember? Who played locally?
Well, locally here, there was, we called him Long Jack Hughes, down Mangan Road. He could play an accordion or a melodeon. And my father could play as well, although he didn't play in public or anything like that, but he could play. And Dennis Hall, Le Burnham, was a great music man.
What did he play?
He played the well, I suppose there was an accordion at that later stage, but he had there used to be dances in Le Burnham House, and nearly every weekend with all the Dubliners come down.
Serious?
And there was, yeah, and there'd be a dance nearly every night. Dennis would be out. He was a great character. He was a likeable man. He was great.
And that would have been, can I ask, was that in the 1950s?
That would have been in the 50s, yeah. Yeah.
And would it have been traditional Irish music?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be all-time waltzes and quick steps, the usual. And someone would sing a song then as well,
Right.
But Dennis he loved it. He loved a bit of music. And a lot of local people them days, Neddy Connors was a Glascarrig, was a brilliant accordion player. And nearly that whole Glascarrig, he lived down there, and he could play. I used to play at the dances in Ballygarrett. We'd have an old dance for the hurlers,
Yeah.
once a year, to raise funds.
And where would you have that?
We'd have it in the town, the parish hall in Ballygarrett before it was knocked down. It's gone now, isn't it? It was turned into a car park.
So the parish hall is there where the church
The old
park-
school now, they call that.
Yeah.
That's not the original. The original was where the car parks now for mass.
Yeah.
In there.
Do you remember the pubs in Ballygarrett years ago and the shops?
I don't, because I never was a drinking person, and I wouldn't know. The only one I knew was Paddy Keogh. Paddy Keogh's pub.
That's a schooner.
Yeah, the schooner now, isn't it? And there was another pub or two, wasn't there?
There was the
Yeah.
Tash.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember them. I mean, when we were up to juvenile age, we used to ride from Killenagh to Ballygarrett for practice hurling,
Away.
and that went on for years. I mean, we had some good hurlers in Ballygarrett, There was some very good hurlers. Mo Gredman was a brilliant hurler. Dan Wafer, Jimmy Murphy, Tom Donoghue, Pat Donoghue, all them lads were good hurlers, and the Cortown lads as well. They used to be a sort of half and half with the parish, and they'd be picked. There was a good team in Ballygarrett. Hurling was no football; it was always hurling. Everyone wanted hurling.
And where would you train? Where the pitches now?
We original trained down in Smith's Field as you go down the Cahor Road. You know where Master Dunn's old house was?
I do.
Well, it was right on the back of that.
Across from Jimmy Crow's there.
Yeah, and then they gave us another field, and they took that one back. There was another one I think it was a little bit further down, but that was the one that was there when I left. But they didn't have anything like what I have now.
And would have had goalposts all the same?
Oh yeah, we'd have goalposts with no netting around. We'd practice down there. I mean, Ballygarrett used to. Matt Cardiff run the Ballygarrett team. Matt was a gentleman, and he loved hurling. He lived for it. He picked you up on the Sunday when there'd be an old match, and there'd be 4 or 5 in the car, and you'd be sitting on each other's knees. No seatbelts them days. And Matt Cardiff had a bundle of hurls, and he used to buy them hurls, and I'm sure he paid for them out of his own pocket, and they weren't cheap even them days. Hurls were quite expensive, and he used his own car for match. And Din Brady was another one. He had a big V8 car, and could be 6 blokes in it. You never seen any big bench seat in the front. We used to go good distance. We went up to KM Kilteely for practice matches.
Away.
in Blackwater. We'd play Blackwater because you see they weren't in the Gorey division, so you could have a practice match with them, a friendly as they call it. But
where did you play?
I played centre. Well, I played either a full back or centre back. I played nearly every position. I think I played full forward. But I was better at centre half. I took over from Mo Redman, broke his finger, and I took over to put me centre half back, and I had a real good game against Ferns, and all Mo said, spoke to him when the match was over, and I said, how's the finger? I said, you'll be all right for next week. He said, no. He said, oh, I won't be in that position anymore.
You got the job?
I got the job for a while. Yeah.
So
he was a lot better hurler than me.
I remember Moog from my childhood. He was barely like
gentleman.
I was only a child.
Yeah.
Now, and do you remember Master Dunn's house? Was that still there when you were playing?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there was a fine house there, thatched house.
Yes.
But I think it belonged to Smiths. Like, I was on their field anyway, but the master, whether he had it higher, rented or I don't know.
Was it a 2-story thatch?
I think so. It was a thatch anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big trees, some of them big trees are still around there where the house was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear anyone singing some songs, local songs at all?
Yeah, well, nearly anyone would sing songs them days. You know, there'd be a bunch of lads lying out again that ditch out there on a summer's evening, and someone would start up. Long Jack Hughes, as I said, he was a great. And Mary Doyle, she'd come up and she'd jig, and if there was any young girls about, she'd have them out on the road doing a hornpipe or step.
She'd jig by what we now call lilting. She'd be jigging.
That's it. Yeah.
Jigging. Yeah.
Yeah, jigging.
Jigging.
Yeah.
Did many of them ever play the mouth organ?
There was someone used to play a mouth organ. I think it was my first cousin, Pat Kane. He lived in the moor. Uncle Mike was his father, and Pat could play a mouth organ. And I think Ned Redmond here, Ned's Stacey's husband, I think he used to play a mouth organ. Yeah.
Did you ever see anyone play the concertina?
No, can't say I did. No.
You wouldn't by chance remember any of the recitations or the songs that they sang?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't. Well, I was in the music. We used to go dancing.
Yeah.
You know, all the young fellas around. I mean, there was about 6 or 8 of us around here. We'd gather out here and larking about, really.
Yeah.
But we didn't drink or anything, so in the winter time we'd play hurling on the crossroads when the field was too wet.
Yeah. Tell me this, do you ever remember years ago going out on the black men at Halloween, or the visiting?
Yeah, I remember them doing it. I can't say I ever done it. Yeah, they used to do it, all right, because they used to bring, there was something with an apple, wasn't there? You had a bowl of water, and you had to get it out without putting your hands to it, didn't you? That went on all right. And New Year's Eve, they used to go around the block in Killenagh and shouting Happy New Year, you know. But, yeah, there were some great characters, all gone. There's not one of my friends or schoolmates alive. There's only, I think there's one chap, but there's no one around here. They're all gone. Yeah. All gone.
Do you remember years ago hearing the old people talking about the blowers, or say when someone would get married, the boys would turn up?
Oh yes.
Bottle blower.
Yeah. That was a common thing. Why it was done, I don't know. I don't know the story of it, but if someone married late in life, they, for some reason or other, they'd be booed. For what reason? And I think there was a man over Clonmel Road. He was a little Thatcher. There was a lot of Thatchers about that time, wasn't there? What was his name? I think he was a Ryan. And he married some lady, and she was, well, really quite old. But I know there was, they organised this thing of going around the house and hiding a milk bottle. Well, strange customs, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, my father told me about that.
Yeah, did he?
Yeah.
All right.
And sometimes they might blow an old cow's horn as well, I heard.
Yeah, that was the right one. If you had one of them, yeah, had one of them. Yeah. Where did you remember Hubert McLaughlin?
I do.
Yeah, right. Is he still alive?
No.
He's gone, is he?
Yeah, he is.
He was married to Mary Murphy, wasn't he?
He was up in Owlert, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was out at that's right. The Raheen.
Something. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Billy, the brother, I remember
Yeah.
Billy.
Billy, yeah.
Billy, yeah.
Billy, they used to work with Moog Redmond, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mention their thatches? Because poor Moog's house was a lovely
It
big
was a
fine
lovely
thatched
thatched
house.
house. It was a shame it got fired, didn't it?
Did, exactly.
Yeah, it was a shame. It was a lovely, because it was a two-story, wasn't it?
Yeah. Were there many thatched houses around?
Oh, there was a lot of thatched house. I mean, these cottages down the Ballygarrett Road, them were all after the war mostly. But I mean, in Killenagh, I remember the walls of thatched houses, and there was two. Pat Kennedy lived in one, and the two Cartys, Paddy and Dean, they lived in one, and their house was only a little tiny thatched house, and the smoke used to come out through the door, more than up the chimney. There was no draw on this chimney at all, and if you went in, you wouldn't find you'd have a job to see one of them sat up with the fire, and the smoke would be going out the door. They passed no remark on it. And we'd go in for 5 minutes and you'd have to come out. Your eyes would be burning.
Go away.
Yeah. And how did they live to be old men? And Pat Kennedy was a First World War veteran. And I think he was in India. He had something to do with the horses or something. Yeah. And he had a tidy little house.
Where did he live again?
He lived in Killenagh on the Goose Green too, just on the edge of the Goose Green.
Pat Kennedy.
Yeah, Pat Kenny. Yeah.
Pat Kenny.
And he'd have been, I think he was a relation of the postman, Ned Bryan. I think he was a relation of his, an uncle or a granduncle or something.
Were there many men around who fought in the war?
Well, you see, the Irish people that joined the army, the British Army, were a bit frowned on. And if you had a brother or a cousin or whatever in the British Army, you keep quiet about it. I never knew that the Whelan, Ned Whelan was his name, and that he got killed in France. And I never knew that till I grew up. It wasn't talked about, and I was in that house umpteen times because they were related to us. They were second cousins, but they never talked much about it. There was I presume there was quite a few in the Navy as well, especially from Killore area. There would have been,
Sure was a job for them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So it was.
yeah. Well, there was a lot of Irish lost in the First World War. There was a lot, and there was a lot in the Second as well. People that forgets that,
Yeah.
but the First World War, the, they went through hell and high water, didn't they?
I know that there was a relation of ours came back home and he ended up in St. Stennans.
Sorry,
There was a relation of ours came back from the First World War,
right?
and he ended up in St. Stennans. The poor man was shell shocked.
Oh yeah, the shell shock.
Yeah.
A lot of them were shell shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can imagine that time, them big guns, no ear protectors or anything, and they bang off of them, doing that all day. So you'd have no ears left. No.
Was there ever much talk, and you don't have to answer me, was there ever much talk with, say, local men who were in the IRA during the War of Independence?
Well, not really, no.
No.
No, that was another taboo.
It wasn't spoken
Yeah.
about.
I mean, they were locally, I think everyone was sort of in it, but there wasn't a proper, well, there was a sort of a dad's army, wasn't there? You know.
Do you ever remember the men who worked down in Cahors during the Second World War on the lookout post in Cahors? Do you ever hear any stories about them?
No, I didn't. I must admit I'd never heard any. I knew there was, I remember the coal ships coming. They hear me talking about the ships with coal, and they couldn't get into Cahors, but they used to anchor out, and there was little rowboats went out and collected the coal, and it was stored in Sinnott's yard there in Cahors. I think they had to draw by horse and car. The big ship anchored out, and the small ships, the small boats, took it in, and then the horse and cart was brought in, and he took it up to the yard, and that's the way they got the coal, I think.
Yeah. There was a coal yard in Clonmel as well, I think.
Was there?
And then if you were getting a bit of coal from Killenagh, you'd have to go down in the little acid
Well,
yard.
they would. That's right. Well, people didn't buy much coal. It was very, very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it was great stuff, coal in comparison with sticks, and but there was a lot of people couldn't afford it, unfortunately.
Do you remember your poor mother? Because Granny said they did it at home. They could only afford now and again maybe the slack, and they'd mix it with the cow dung
Oh yeah,
to make bricks
yeah,
and put them in at the back of the fire there.
yeah, right.
Do you ever see that being done?
Can't remember that now. I remember to hear people collecting in the summertime the dung when it be dried out and burning it. Sure, I suppose it was only the same as grass when it was dried out. It was stunk a bit, I would think.
The exact same. My mother and my grandmother said the same as that.
Yeah.
And you know what they used to do with it as well? They said just to use it to bake when the grease shot could be on the fire.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They put it up on the lid.
Yeah.
And so did that was a regular thing. Yeah, my mother always done that. But the old take quite a while because to bake a loaf through, because if you didn't have coal, the sticks didn't produce the heated coal. And I mean down here we didn't have any turf much because there was no bogs around. I mean the Midlands, they all have, they all had turf, cut their own turf, a lot of them. Yeah.
Where would your father get sticks from the local farmers or off the ditches or?
Cut off your own land, cut whatever it was. The old elms, the old Sally, the Salex, they were good firewood. Believe it or not, the black Sally they call them. They were really, really produced good heat. They were really good. But they grew down here like wildfire because of the water, the wet, and you stuck a little one down the ground, it'd be 2 foot high in a year.
The land is quite wet here, isn't it?
Very wet. It was dreadful land. Dreadful land. I mean, today it's good land because it's all drained and all. But I mean, them days, you go to the knees in mud with horses drawn in hay or anything. We've become a bad fall, you know, or a bad spring. It was pure hardship. Not only to man but to the horses as well. It was cruel.
Here's one for you I heard from Granny years ago. And cows would get fouls in their feet here. In the wet land here.
Oh, in the wet land, yeah. And all skull between the crew beans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sheep used to get a lot of fluke as well down here in their lungs. And it spoiled the meat. And you cut the liver up, you see the fluke in it, you know. Yeah. But there was all sorts of things.
I know this is more of a superstition now than anything, but I remember Granny saying there was no cure years ago. Say if a cow had fouls in her feet, they'd watch her walking through a gap or the field.
Right.
They'd find where she walked and they'd dig up the sod and mark the sign of the cross on it.
All right.
And then they believed.
Yeah.
Obviously that was before penicillin.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But people believed that old stuff years ago.
Oh, they did. They did. People seeing things on bridges and dogs and
black dogs.
Black dogs. That was a common one, I think.
What were the stuff they're seeing around here, eh?
Sorry?
What were the kind of old ghosts that they saw around here?
Well, it was similar sort of thing. You know, it was a similar sort of thing. The light scene across the field, you know. And, you know, strictly speaking, that was probably right because it was what they called that. What did they call it? I can't think of it. Wildfire or something.
Bog gas.
Bog, yeah, especially in the Midlands, yeah. And that's what there's and that used to travel along the top of the ground, I believe. Well, I've never seen it, but yes, that was definitely a superstition.
But he's ever warned his little lads, oh, don't pick a comb off the road, it belongs to the bow.
No. I never heard that one.
No.
Oh, there was various ones. Yeah.
Come here, I want to have you there. There's a bridge down not far from you here. What was the story behind that?
Well, I've often heard a story that there was women and children killed at that bridge, and it's known as Hall's Bridge on the Killenagh Courtown Road. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but it was talked about anyway, and I heard it a couple of times by John Kinsella, because he was a bit of a historian, and he was always talking about Cromwell.
And it was supposed to be Cromwell did it, was it?
Yeah.
Cromwell was supposed to have killed him, was it?
Right.
Or was that the story that Cromwell killed the women and children?
Women and children, I heard.
Yeah.
Whether it's no
stories like that you'd hear.
Yeah, well, it lingers, doesn't it?
Yeah. Any other stories like that you may have heard growing up that you can remember now?
Yeah.
Do you remember the old people spreading the Tran water?
The what?
Spreading the holy water on the land.
Oh yeah, that was done. And the houses, the cattle sheds, were blessed and sprinkled. And on a Palm Sunday, you brought home palm, and you put a piece in the cow shed, or the cart shed, or the calf shed, or wherever. Yeah, that was a regular thing done. Yeah, I think that was done up to recent times, really. Yeah.
Do you ever remember your own mother blessing you with holy water?
Oh yes, especially if there's a thunderstorm. I was terrified of thunder and lightning when I was a kid. Now I couldn't care less. I'd stand out and that. But the kids, the mothers running, turning mirrors on the wall, and the reflects. Don't go near that window. Yeah. They didn't realise the chances of 1 in a million of getting hit. There was, I remember some, Andy Kane, Shamey and them, I think their father had a flock of geese or a good deal of them hit by lightning, all right, in a whatever way it worked, but there was quite a lot of them killed. I often heard them talk about that. Yeah.
Did you keep any hens or ducks around?
Oh yeah, we kept. My mother, God rest her, she kept knowing that we could have up to 40 hens, and we had chickens, we had turkeys, and we had geese. And we used to have 1 duck or 2 ducks, but we didn't go into for ducks too much. The turkeys were sold at Christmas, and the money was to come in from them, had to pay rent and rates, so that they weren't much better off. They raised them, but they had to find the money for house rates and things, which was hard times.
And you had to pay rates in the house?
Oh yes, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, there was rates. And there used to be a collector used to come. I think he was from Killenagh somewhere.
Was he a Senate?
That's right.
Willie Senate, was it?
I think it was, yeah. It was definitely a sinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of pin money for the women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And tell me this: did you ever see the hen sitting inside the house?
Oh yes, I've seen that. Them 2 old boys I was telling you about in Killenagh. There was an old dresser, and there was a bottom on it, and the door, the wood was taken out of the door so the hen could go in and lay. Oh yeah, the old Dincarty, they always had one. They used to sow rhubarb and sell it, you know. It did have a lot of people was done a lot of gardening in them days, you know, and grew stuff, you know.
Tried to make a few pound.
Oh, that's true. There wasn't much, if there was no social benefits or anything them days. You know, you were lucky. If you're broke, you were broke. There was no one going to help you. I mean, people nowadays can't believe they did. When I tell Mary, my daughter, about the poverty that people went through, she thinks, no, and beds with people living on bed mat, what's his name, bags filled with fresh straw, you know, for a tick.
And the fleas eating you.
Aye.
And the fleas eating you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the fleas. Everyone had them.
There were rabbits years ago. That's why he was there.
Aye.
There was always rabbits in houses.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We always heard it. There was
there used to be a man down. He used to come from down the Ballywalter Road there near Ballygarrett. You might know it. He used to go down to Tom Duff and set snares for rabbits, because you get a few shilling for a rabbit that time, and he'd go down the next day, and we'd be waiting for him coming up, and he'd have a walking stick, and he'd have all these rabbits on the walking stick, and he could have up to 6 or 8 rabbits, you know, and he'd set the snares for them, yeah, and he'd take them into Gorey or somewhere and sell them. God, people used to go mad for a rabbit them days.
Do you ever remember eating them?
Oh, indeed I do. No, regular.
Yeah.
Regular. The only trouble was there was an awful lot of bones in them, but they were lovely meat.
Yeah.
I mean, a hare was different. It was very hare meat. You could eat it, but strictly speaking, you wanted to hang it for a couple of days. But it was darker meat, a lot darker meat than a rabbit, you know.
And a duck or a pheasant if you could get it too.
Oh, well, unless you were ill or something, you didn't get. The people couldn't afford to eat them. I mean, my mother did all them chickens. She used to. We never eat chicken hardly, except someone was sick or unwell. They'd boil them and drink the broth. And my mother had a lot of hens, but she'd have to take chickens down to the bottom of the goose green there. There used to be a bloke come from Gorey in a little old pickup. I think Breens were their name. And they'd collect them and pay you. And you'd sling them on the old scales and it'd say 2 and 6 or whatever. And they'd take them or leave it. You know, that has to. The price is down this week. Yeah. And them chickens used to be pegged in on top of each other in this old van. Really, really, there was nothing nice about the life of the chicken.
Did you ever come across? Sorry, I'll ask you again. Did you ever come across eating? They used to sell them in Gorey. A bougon.
A what?
A bougon. An egg, a shellless egg.
No.
Sometimes when they after killing the poor old hens, the eggs would be in the gut. They used to sell them on.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across them? No,
can't say I ever seen that.
Yeah. And so you'd only get the old hen if you were sick. Someone was sick.
That's what I'm saying. You had a chicken. More as I say, they had us go to the shop on a Friday or Saturday and get a few things, but they might Monday or Tuesday had to go to sell 2 or 3 chickens to pay for the tea and sugar and the milk and the butter, you know.
And where would you go to shop down in Ballygarrett or Ballygarrett?
We used to, the local shop, Porter's was a shop that time. I had most things. You might have to go to Ballygarrett for butter or something, but to the creamery. But we used to send milk to the creamery, and we got my father milk 4 or 5 cows, and we'd send it to the creamery, and then you could get a couple of pound of butter, and they take it out of the price of the milk.
Did your mother do any churning?
My mother didn't, but I remember old Mrs. Porter was brilliant. She used to have lovely butter, called it country butter, and it was brilliant. She used to churn. Then she used to separate first, you know, and you'd get the cream from and then she'd churn the cream. Oh, she'd have lovely butter, yeah. And a bit of butter was more essential because it was literally used on everything. It was bread and butter, and you had mashed potatoes, you had a lump of butter in it. You had a head of cabbage, you had a lump of butter. You know, everything revolved around a bit of butter.
The diet was much simpler then.
Hey?
The diet was much simpler.
Oh yes, very, very simple.
Do you miss your childhood from here?
Sorry?
Do you miss your childhood from here?
Yeah, things were bad and hard, but I wasn't an unhappy child. We were happy with what we had. I mean, we didn't have much, but we were happy with what we had. I mean, a lot of people were more happy them days. There wasn't people worrying about everything and anything. I mean, people were a bit, oh well, you know, they accepted what came, you know.
And were your neighbours good?
Oh yeah, neighbours were very good. I must admit, in Killenagh, the porters were very good people. They were very helpful. You wouldn't see anyone go wanting for anything. No, they were really good. they had horses and they'd loan a person a horse or anything, you know. No, they were very good. Yeah.
I better let you get a cup of tea. We've been talking to you for an hour.
Yeah, alright.
I'd only talk to you for half an hour.
Oh, well.
But sure, maybe we'll catch up again and have another chat.
Oh, God. So, by all means, we'll be here for a couple of weeks anyway.
Cool. Okay.
I
We'll do that.
yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, you're welcome to it. The sort it was.